Hey y'all, it's Laura and I'm back with a 2-photo layout using this gorgeous pattern paper from Pink Paislee Wild Child. This is the last full 12 by 12 piece of paper that I have from this collection, and I'm going to use it. I'm going to do something really fun with this that I've wanted to do, which was to take my X-Acto knife and this lovely We Are Memory Keepers pad behind it and then cut out these clouds. Now, I'm not going to cut all of them out. And I'm not cutting them completely out. I'm just cutting out sections across the top and a couple of side pieces so that I can tuck in embellishments and my photos. I thought this would be a really fun way to use this paper so that I'm not covering up all of the really cool elements of the background, but I am using it to my advantage. Now, I did see Jen show using this background on one of her videos, and I absolutely loved two things about what she did with this paper. She journaled in the clouds and she did some color blocking, or she put her embellishments inside of the colors kind of matched. So red on red, peach on peach, gold on gold, that kind of thing. So I wanted to kind of use that as inspiration for this layout as well, but I didn't directly lift what she did. I made it my own and just used my own embellishments of what I had because she had different embellishments than I did. So I'm using this last little scrap of red paper here, and I'm going to use it to matte both of my photos. And yeah, it doesn't look like there's enough there to matte both of my photos, does it? Well, there is, because I'm just going to take that other piece and just paper piece it around the outside of this photo, and not going to make you watch that very lengthy process. But I end up using every last little piece of that paper, and I'm really excited about that. And all that I'll have left from this little mini kit that I made for myself is the 6x6 paper pad, about half of the thickers, half of the thicker titles that came with this little mini kit, and I have the 6x12 sticker sheet, and that's it. That's all I've got. But it's a lot of fun to play with, and once it's pretty well gone, I'll probably just add it in with a few more papers from my stash just to finish it off. There is no greater satisfaction in my crafting space than finishing a kit, finishing a collection, finishing anything. Because let's be real, how many unfinished projects do you have? I probably have 12. I have a lot of them. So it's always a bit satisfying to finish off some of that stash that just seems to keep accumulating in my space. So I did decide not to use that lovely blue and green chevron and instead pull in this skateboard paper for two reasons. First reason being, the green was kind of competing, that neon green from the chevrons was kind of competing with the background of this layout, and I felt like the black really gave it more of a shadowed effect and kind of added a little bit of depth, so I could add another paper layer and it still wouldn't look super busy. Because this background, when you're using a pattern paper background, you have to be careful that your layers don't conflict with it. You don't want them to clash. And there's no neon green on this background, and so I was trying to be careful to use very minimal amounts of the neon green because they really don't tie in terribly well with this particular paper. So once I've got that layer straight, then I'm going to add in another layer, and this one's just very simply going to be a very nice stripe. It's just a nice blue and white stripe that adds a little extra behind it because I do want my photos to be the absolute focus. And so I am kind of, first of all, it's the darkest point on the page because the background is so light. And so that's going to draw your eye, but also this blue and white paper is going to draw your eye down from those gorgeous clouds and the embellishing I'm going to be doing up there. And it's going to literally draw your eye down to the photos with those vertical lines. So now that that's tucked in behind one of those clouds, I'm going to have a little play with the color blocking. Now this was a little bit tricky because I've already used a lot of this kit. A lot. So trying to find all of the embellishments that would perfectly match these colors probably would have been a lot easier at the beginning of the kit than at the end, but I think I made it work. I started by putting this title, Watch Me Go, from the thicker set, and you'll notice there's some titles on there that I've used in previous layouts because these got out of order. These layouts that I did with this mini kit definitely got out of order, and I just kind of put up whichever one I was feeling like posting at the moment, and sometimes that was in order and sometimes it was not. So adding some blue embellishments down there by the blue stripe, adding in a white circle down there at the bottom on one of the clouds, that'll get moved later, but just kind of trying things out. I think experimentation is the best way to start scrapbooking. Just start playing with things. Start pulling things off of those sticker sheets. If you can't get it back on the sticker sheet, that's okay. Put it on a piece of cardstock, cut it out, and now it's ephemera. There's no need to worry about stuff like that. Just try to play. Now, I was spending so much time in my mind worrying about the journaling, about if I would have enough space to get all of the journaling into these clouds. So I decided to go ahead and do the journaling. Normally I leave the journaling till the very last, but in this case I felt like, let's get it on the page and see how it looks, and that will help me find some balance with my embellishing because I wasn't exactly sure how long the story was going to turn out to be. Turns out it was pretty long. So in this journaling, I'm not only talking about what's happening in the photos, and in these photos is my dad helping my son with his Pinewood Derby car, and the left photo is of the finished car. So not only am I talking about this process because they did this every year for quite a while when Alex was in Cub Scouts. They had a great time doing it together. But I'm also talking a little bit about their relationship as grandfather and grandson, and they were extremely close when he was alive. They were best friends from day one. He and my dad absolutely bonded right away, and they spent a great deal of time together, especially growing up because I was divorced when Alex was 2. So lived with my folks for a while. He and dad got really close, and he has always been very close with my dad. They just seem to get each other. You know how some people are just that way, where they just seem to get each other. And for these two, that was definitely the case. I also am kind of mentioning that my dad was such a brilliant example to my kids of someone who is hardworking, who is honest, and who really cares about other people. And I felt like that was an important message to include because some of my kids are very young and they will maybe not remember him, unfortunately. And so I definitely wanted to include just that little bit of inspiration for them as well. Now these are some pink fresh alphas in kind of a peach color, and they just happen to match quite nicely with this peach layer on the layout. And so I went ahead and added best friends, and I'm also going to put, I think it says Papa and me on the other side, and Papa is what they called my dad, and he chose that for himself. I let each of the parents choose their grandparent name. I think that's important, that it's something they're comfortable with, and we encourage the kids to use those names just because I just think that that's respectful. So that is a little bit of factoid about our family. Did add some more journaling here at the bottom because there wasn't enough journaling on this page. It just needed more. As you can tell, I am not a woman of few words. I am a woman of many, 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 many words. And keeping my journaling short is always difficult for me. And so in this layout, being able to really let loose and just go journaling crazy was very cathartic. It was very enjoyable for me, and I may do that more in the future because I really enjoyed that. I am a bit of a writer at heart. I have written a novel that will never be published because I won't edit it. So I do love to write, the editing not so much. Back to the layout. Sorry y'all, big tangent. So doing some more embellishing with those color blocking ideals in mind, putting the blue on the blue, trying out some mixing and matching. I don't mind so much if the cooler colors like the green are on a blue or teal level. I just want the cooler colors at the bottom and the warmer colors at the top, just to kind of give that rainbow effect. And also, I don't want to detract too much from this gorgeous background pattern paper because there's a lot going on this layout. And I want the photos to remain the focus, and if there's too much excitement going on in the background, you're not going to see the photos first. Adding little bits and pieces here and there, and I really have enjoyed this kit. This was a really fun kit to play with. It was a little more cartoonish than I typically go for, but it really wasn't too bad. I was able to make it work. Now, the title, the official title, there are several titles on this layout, but the official title is this one here. And I started out with this My Guy, and I felt like that was a little boring. Who am I talking about? There are two guys in this photo. So I do end up pulling out some Pink Fresh blue alphas and making it my kinda guy. And there I'm kind of referencing my dad, and just that he is a great role model, and it was amazing to have him as an example for my kids as they were growing up. And it's kind of interesting. You know, my husband is very much an intellectual man, and he is an engineer. And my kids get that aspect of male role model. And then my dad was very much a hands-on, he was a mechanic, he was very much a problem solver and dive into things and experiment type of guy. And I think it's awesome that my kids got to have both of those role models growing up. I think that's really valuable experience for them to have both types of role models growing up. So now I'm adding a little bit more onto the layout. I did grab these sparkly glittery stars because I just can't help myself. There must be some gold glittery goodness on this layout somewhere. I tried not to add a lot though. This is a fairly masculine layout, and gold glittery and masculine don't always go along. But just to make me happy, I just added a couple little touches of those gold glitter stars, and I think they give it a little extra something. And just tucking some of the pieces behind those clouds that I cut. I did that intentionally for that reason, so I wanted to do some tucking behind clouds and thought that would look really cool. And this layout is almost done after I add just a few more glittery stars, because can you really have too many gold glittery stars? I just don't think you can. I just don't. So I'm going to add a few just to each of the clusters to kind of tie them together, so it's not just one glittery star on the layout. It's a few. They're kind of sprinkled throughout, but they're not a main attraction on the layout. And now I'm going to add in these really cute little enamel stars in a couple different colors. I'm going to try to match the colors again to the color blocks, and as best I can anyway. And don't have that many color options left on this one, but you can find these in the links in the description box below. I did find a decent source for it on Etsy, and I'll link that for you guys. When it's available, get it, because they go really fast, but I will go ahead and link that for you guys below. Adding some Heidi Swapp Color Shine in black this time for a little something different, and this layout is complete. Thank you so much for joining me, you guys. I hope you have enjoyed this slightly longer process video, and until next time, bye!